Hey everyone, welcome to GameGorgon. We're going to be talking about Downtime on Pathfinder 2nd Edition, which is...
Can you shut the... Can you just...
Hey! Downtime doesn't mean sleep time.
Yeah, but it does for me.
Well, sometimes. Hey everyone, welcome to GameGorgon. My name's Indigo.
And I'm sleepy.
And today we're going to be talking about Downtime in Pathfinder 2nd Edition. It doesn't always have to be sleeping, but that's what most of you use it for.
Downtime is a game mode in Pathfinder 2nd Edition, and there are 3 game modes. There's Exploration, Encounter, and Downtime. Today we're specifically talking about Downtime. We're going to be talking about the other 2, obviously, because that's what we do here. So if you want to learn more about those, just come back in a bit, and we'll have those videos up too.
Hey, before we go forward, on your left-hand side, you want to tape that drape up that's falling already?
Oh. When you are in Downtime mode, time is going to pass in really large chunks.
Okay.
So instead of rolling for like an attack, you're going to be rolling for potentially an hour of time or a whole day of time maybe. It's not the same as like the minute by minute, second by second gameplay that makes up a lot of the game.
Is this the largest, like, just blank amount of time?
Yeah, this is the largest amount of time that passes concurrently. And it can actually even be longer than a day. It depends on how much downtime you're taking. For example, if you like complete a thing and then the next part of your campaign picks up 3 months later, you could be rolling for a month of time. You could be rolling for as long as your GM tells you to roll.
I think you've retired for 6 years.
Yeah,
now let's get back in it.
Yeah, who wants to roll a day at a time for 6 years? That's ridiculous.
Or an hour at a time.
Or 6 seconds at a time. Your goal during downtime is generally to create resources, whether that's replenishing resources that you've already expended or finding new resources and obtaining those. Something as simple as you can rest during downtime a whole bunch and regain your health, or you could, try and make money because you've spent a whole bunch of money.
You can also craft during that time.
You can absolutely also
craft. You can sit there and be like, okay, well, we know what we're going to be doing next week, so I'm going to spend the next week prepping healing potions so that everyone can have them on them.
Yep.
Alchemists, that's your job, my friend.
Don't use quick alchemy to do it. Because...
No, the next day you're just like, oh. Movement is also just whatever. Like there's no restrictions. Like other than like I want to climb that mountain. Well, that's something that's gonna require rolling. But it's just like cool. I'm gonna go to the store.
Yeah.
Or I want to do this.
In downtime mode, you're specifically not in danger, or else it's not downtime. Like if you're in a city that is under siege, I would say that's not downtime because there's a constant threat of something bad happening. Obviously, this is hugely up to GM interpretation, right? They could say like, oh, yeah, you're under siege, but you know that the next attack is coming at X time, and it's like a week before that, and so you have this week of downtime, even though you are technically in danger.
Sure. For the most part, the idea behind downtime is just the fact of movement around the city or the village or wherever you are doing just mundane things, crafting, prepping.
And actually, to that end, it's important to note that means downtime can be interrupted. If you have a week of downtime, it can very easily be interrupted by something dangerous happening. You can't work your job while, the place you're working is on fire. You have to resolve that situation. That might take you into encounter mode, or it might take you into exploration mode if you need to go to through enemy lines to get a thing to stop the thing from happening. That was literally the most vague example that I could possibly come up with.
Example I that popped in my head was like, okay, you're prepping, you're getting food, right?
Yeah.
So you lay traps for rabbits. That doesn't require you to sit there and be in danger, but your GM may have you just roll to see how well you do. Say you roll a nat 1, they might say, well, you come across as you are picking up the rabbits from your traps, you discover a bear is currently there.
Yeah, do something about the bear. Maybe not fight it, maybe run, but you have to figure out how you're getting out of that situation.
Yeah.
Also, sometimes the player's job could put them into a situation that isn't downtime related. Okay. So if you actually literally already said that.
About the
bear. So there's a big list of actions that you can take while in downtime.
Okay.
We're going to go over a bunch of them. This isn't an exhaustive list though, so look through the book. Anything that can be used in down. Well,
No, I got it.
I'm just saying, like, every single action.
No, I got it. But it was just funny because it was just like, hey, there's a bunch of them, so just do your work, which is what most people come and watch this for. Is they're like, hey, I don't understand this.
Yeah.
And then you're just like, cool, I'm glad you don't understand it. fucking read it.
That's not what I meant. These are the most important ones, in my opinion.
Okay.
The ones that you're going to be using most often, and I think some of them are the most complicated ones. This first one, not complicated at all. That having been said, there are more in the book. Anything that can be used during downtime has the downtime like trait. You'll be able to see that it says downtime on it.
Okay.
The first one is long-term rest.
Okay.
So this is just whittling away your days sitting on your butt, trying to recover.
Or AKA what everyone does when they go, oh my god, I'm out of spells and I need to be healed.
Yeah.
I'm just going to lay on this rock in the middle of this dungeon and take a long-term
Yeah, right? Like, cool, yeah, that's reasonable. So instead of regaining your level times con, which is what you would normally regain when you rest, you are going to regain your level. Parentheses.
Sure.
Does everybody know the order of operations?
It's called foil.
Do we... Oh, nice. I forgot about that acronym.
One of the other things that you can do in your downtime is that you can retrain. The idea of retraining, you're changing something about your character. Some of the things that you can retrain, and by some, I mean all, is feats, skills, and some class features.
Yeah.
And these are class features that usually give you choices.
Yeah.
And it's not just like, hey, as a rogue, you get sneak attack. Like,
Yeah.
that's not...
Right. You can't retrain a choice that has nothing to retrain
Yes.
to. Retraining has some very specific mechanics based around it, but it also...
Read the book.
Yeah. That's not what I meant. I'm going to talk about the specific mechanics. It's just a segue. Come on. Retraining has some very specific mechanics involved, but it also leaves a lot of stuff open to GM interpretation.
Sure.
Can you retrain X? Do you have the resources at your disposal necessary to retrain your athletics? The book doesn't tell you what those resources are. It just says, the GM will tell you whether or not you can do XYZ. Like,
because there's also a list of things that flat out you can't change.
Yeah.
Like, you can't do ancestry, can't do heritage, background, class, and ability scores. Which all makes sense. At the same time, if you're playing a long-running game and a new book comes out and adds a new ancestry or a new heritage or a background that fits that character better, I don't see why you wouldn't, as a GM, be like, let's figure out a way to make that happen, versus be like, no, that character has to retire, and then you have to build the exact same character with a new background. Like, that doesn't make sense. I'm going to be starting my first campaign I'm going to be playing in, I'm very excited about, and I chose an elf, right? But that's because the ancestry that I want hasn't come out. I'm waiting for Tiefling to come out to play my character. I have to like talk to my GM when that happens. Hey, I would like to do this, and I don't want to homebrew it until then, because homebrewing ancestry is hard. There's tons of feats at different levels that you have to come up with.
I think the general rule of thumb here is like, allow the things that would enable your group to have fun. End of thing. Just do it. It doesn't matter how you justify it that much.
Yeah.
Just like come up with some justification. Like, oh, you spent your time, working out really hard and your muscles got so big that you can't move as fast, and that's why your strength went up and your dex went down. Who cares? Yes, it's a very flimsy thing. You're going to think about it for all of 5 minutes, and then you're going to go back to playing the game, and everybody's going to forget that you retrained something. There's also some class features that you can't retrain even though they are choices. Like Sorcerer Bloodline.
Oh, sure.
How are you going to justify, oh, well, I have this bloodline because of a demonic thing that happened in my lineage. But now it was actually an angel instead of a demon.
I'll give it to him.
Yeah. And honestly, in the book, it even says, like, in extraordinary circumstances, you can. What does that mean? It just means if the GM wants you to.
Yeah.
The GM can create extraordinary circumstances, like that.
Personally, as a GM, I will never be like, you're in the middle of a dungeon and a book comes out and they're like, well, I want to try that. I'm like, cool, wait until the dungeon's over and you're resting and then we'll do it then. Yeah. But I'm not going to be like, cool, now you've got healing abilities. You're like, it's not how I personally GM, but, you know, GM, to GM, it your choice.
Yeah, we're not going to judge you.
I'm super judging.
Well, I mean, does it matter at that point then?
No.
The book does specify that if you would like to retrain something, you need someone to teach you.
Okay.
So I think the level progression represents what it is that you naturally learn through just trial and error in the heat of the moment. Retraining is someone being like, hey, why don't you try this instead? This is what everybody else does. This is the right way to do the thing. Do the right thing instead. I get that kind of, but also I would say that you could just GM this requirement away if you wanted.
I would say that the reason why that Paizo put this in there, complete speculation, by the way. If the GM wants to add a monetary means, that's the reason why.
100% agree with that. I also think that they expect people to GM this away at the cost of, for example, time. Like, oh, yeah, you can't retrain this by yourself in a week unless you have an instructor, and you have to pay the instructor. But maybe if you took a month and tried to learn it by yourself, you could retrain it. So instead of making the currency for a month, you retrain instead.
Sure.
That's the same kind of, like, cost, you know?
I can also see that when Paizo was writing this section, that they assumed most people would just go right over it.
I wonder if that's something they actually do sometimes.
I'm sure they're just like,
no one's gonna read this.
Yeah, they're like, there's gonna be like 5 groups out of 5,000 that read this, but we have to write it because, like, well, it's a thing.
Well, now there's this many.
Which ones?
I was pointing to the view counter.
Oh, gotcha.
I was trying to point to
Well, they didn't read the section. We read it.
That's
and
true.
we just told it to them.
We could be lying, for all you guys know.
Read the book.
Right? This part, I think, is set in stone.
Okay.
You can only choose something when you retrain that you would have been able to choose when you picked the thing that you're retraining. So, like, if you picked a level 1 feat and then you retrain, you can't pick a level 6 feat because you're level 6 now. Because then you can just push all of your feats up and up and up as you get higher and higher level.
Yeah.
That would break the game entirely, and I highly recommend that you keep that as a rule, unless you just, like, quadruple the quantity of monsters for each individual encounter in any given situation.
That makes complete sense.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's just like
common sense, right?
You would like to unbalance your group, and that's how you do it.
Yeah. There's another important limitation to retraining. That is, if you have 2 talents and one of them is a prerequisite to the other, and you retrain the prerequisite into something else, you can't use the thing that it was a prerequisite for anymore.
What? No.
Yeah, right?
Of course. Like,
it's just important to know that that is a thing that is written in the book.
Here's my question. Can I get sneak attack because I want it?
Yeah, if you were a sorcerer and you choose to retrain, you can actually pick any feature from any class.
Yeah. No, I mean, if you don't have the prerequisites, you can't do the thing. The reason why there is prerequisites, you are getting good at one thing, and because you are good at this one thing, you're able to accomplish another task.
And the opportunity cost has already been that you're not good at the second thing. If you have the ability to be like, oh, I'm really good at this thing, and now I'm going to take all the work I put into getting good, and I'm going to move it somewhere else so that I'm also good at the second thing, you're unbalanced.
Hey, get good, kid. I would say I would allow you, if you did want to get rid of a feat that you wanted to change out that was a prerequisite, I would GM it that you could retrain both at the same time.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know if there's any specific rules. Like, there's like 2 different ways you can go about it, right? Oh, I want to retrain the lower one so that I can retrain the higher one. Mm-hmm. Well, okay, that's going to take you X amount of time to do the first one. Now you have a second feat that's just blank because you can't, and then
you're unbalanced the other direction.
Exactly. So I would just, like, me personally, I'd be like, okay, cool. It's a feat tree that you're trying to retrain. Cool, makes sense.
Yeah, I'd say you retrain the higher one, right? And when you retrain the higher one, you have the option to retrain the lower one too.
Doesn't just a feat in general take a week to retrain?
Yeah.
So no matter okay, so
this is just me.
Oh, gotcha.
This isn't the book. Like Inigo said, the book does specifically say that a feat is a week.
Sure.
If you want to retrain any feat, it takes a week, which is a reasonable amount of time, and usually that is a good increment of downtime to give players between, big things, right?
It's gonna be table to table. Some campaigns don't even, like, some campaigns just go and go and go and go and go, and they don't have downtime, like large swaths of it.
Yeah.
So it's like I can understand if that's the kind of campaign you're playing.
Well, like in Court of Corvids, we did 6 sessions so far. All 6 of those sessions were like back to back to back to back constant action. We rested twice, I think.
And barely that.
We regained so little health in that campaign. I get that, though. That, in some cases, when you were doing, like, really involved things, having that back-to-back-to-back, like, nature makes a lot of sense. But eventually in your campaign, there should be downtime if you want to keep it realistic. You super don't have to.
Yeah.
But I think the mechanics are good. I think it's a good way to, like, let your players, like, recover without expending resources. Like, guaranteed recovery, fresh start, let's go. But, in the end, you're right. It's up to the GM, and it's going to vary from table to table.
Now, you can also retrain skills, like we mentioned.
Correct.
That also takes a week per skill.
Right.
Now, the new trained skill has to be the same proficiency or low. You're not going to be able to go up in proficiency.
Right. So if you, like, retrain away a mastery skill to train a different skill, you can't... The different skill can't be going to legendary. It has to be going either to master or lower.
Yep. Just everything's like spell
slots.
slots.
Just think of your entire character as one big thing of spell slots.
Actually, not a bad way to think about it.
Yeah. Class features, on the other hand, take at least a month
Okay.
which is a long time. Changing your class feature is interesting because it says specifically that you can change stuff like your druid order or your wizard school. Those aren't the same as bloodline, but they also kind of are.
Specifically for wizard, like the idea behind wizard is that you spent years studying, right? Like that's the idea. I mean, of course, depending on the story you want to tell, you'd be like, I picked up a book and learned magic one day. But at the end of the day, like the idea behind wizards is
most wizards.
And especially because it's the like your school of magic.
Yeah, and like think of the Druid Order also. The Druid Order seems closer to the Bloodline thing than Wizards do, because it's basically your inherent belief system.
There's a whole anathema system behind it that's just like...
schools of magic don't have anathema. But Druid Orders super do. So now you're like, okay, I will never hurt an animal, and I will respect all animals, and I will only like eat animals and like hunt animals in a respectful and like thoughtful
necessary way, yeah.
And now you're like, actually, plants are super nice. Animals aren't that great, but plants, on the other hand, super cool.
I can see them kind of like overlapping a little bit.
Yep.
I think the whole reasoning behind Bloodline, and I think it's because this is the newest one that they have implemented that has got such a drastic change, is that if you change your Bloodline from divine magic to arcane magic, that is such a drastic change across the board.
Yeah, because you do switch spell lists entirely. Switching your like wizard school doesn't switch your spell list. It just switches which school you're proficient with, basically, right? It's almost akin to retraining your class.
Yeah, because also at the same time, if you're taking feats that are required that you can cast arcane spells, so I think that's why they did that. But again, GM it however you want. I mean,
I see their mindset, but also I see your mindset if you choose to allow it. The next super common thing that you could do during downtime, if you like the way your character's built, you're like, cool, yeah, okay, but I want a better sword, gotta make some money.
Or if if you're happy with your character and other people are retraining, because you can't just be like, oh, well, you're gonna have a downtime of a week, but I'm not.
Yeah, you gotta find something to do.
Yeah, exactly.
And this is like one of the most baseline ways of earning a resource, which is money.
Yeah.
It's just earn an income. Go find a job. You're a level whatever thing. You're good at stuff. Go find a job and make some money. So you're going to pick one of your skills to use to make money, whether that's like warfare lore. You're going to go like consult at for a general or something like that, like make tactical choices.
I see that.
If you're good at building ships, or if you're good at thievery, you could work in like, the thieves' den and like steal things from people. You could do whatever. Just pick a skill, and then the GM is going to pick a level of challenge, the highest level of job that is available to you in your environment. So if you're in like a tiny town that doesn't have a thieves' den like available, the GM can be like, okay, cool, you can go rob stuff yourself from these townsfolk.
Sure.
But if there's a thieves' den available, they could be like, oh yeah, there's a contract to assassinate this person and steal this thing from their mansion.
Yeah.
That's going to be a way harder thing than just stealing from some common people. So the GM's going to give you the highest available one. You can spend more time looking for less difficult work if you want to increase your chances of succeeding. You could also potentially spend time looking for higher levels of work, but that is up to like GM discretion whether or not that's available. Maybe if you roll really well, or if you give him some compelling evidence that there would be something.
Imagine you're like, oh, I'm really good at building ships, and you're like, cool, you're landlocked?
Yeah, so I don't know why you'd think that was available here. Maybe, I don't know, you could work via mail.
I can see it being difficult based off of the area, or if like you decide, okay, hey, we're gonna stop and we're gonna live in the forest with the druid for a little while because we need to lay low because the rogue, who always seems to get us in trouble, got us in trouble, and so we're gonna lay low. But then everyone's like, you can make it more difficult for that. D&D did something that I really liked, is they actually have a book where they talk more in depth about things that you can do in downtime, and they're actually like options and roles and like how much gold you should be getting from those things.
And that is actually in here as well. Options and roles and how much...
Didn't read the book.
Yeah, so based on the level of challenge that the GM sets for the job that you're going to take, there's a DC, and if you succeed, fail, critical, succeed, critical, fail, you're treated differently in that role.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
There you go. You did it. Good job. On your first book.
Shots fired, I think. I don't know, I can't tell.
Maybe? I don't know, it was a 640-page book.
It was a lot of books.
There's a lot of books.
So once you make a roll, that's like how how you handle that job basically in perpetuity. You don't have to roll again. You can just keep working with that same score for multiple days.
Oh, perfect. That would suck. You're just like, oh, God, I did crap today. As I like to say on Court of Corvids, every roll adds an opportunity to fail.
Yep. It's not wrong. Okay, so let's talk about how the rolls work, right?
Okay.
So if you critically succeed on your check, you're going to gain the amount of currency listed for the task and the level of difficulty that the GM set for you, +1. So you're basically going to gain a bit more money.
Okay.
Which is awesome. If you succeed, the book says you do competent work. So oh yeah, that's good enough. And you make the money.
Look, I didn't fire you. Just be happy with this.
Yeah, and then you're good. Your happy days are here to stay. If you fail, you're going to do shoddy work.
Okay.
And you're going to get paid the bare minimum for whatever it is that you are tasked with. Okay. So there's a specific failure column in the table that we were talking about earlier. You're going to make that much money instead of the success column.
Okay, makes sense.
Critical failure is hilarious. You earn nothing for your work and are fired immediately.
I was thinking about if I could have used the downtime /income option as a means for Jonas's character in Court of Corvids in the very beginning. But the thing is that they own a shop. It was I have a shop.
Yeah.
So if you roll the natural one, can't really get fired at owning your own shop.
But maybe
you've insulted people, and they just were like, hey, we'd prefer you to not be here
anymore. The next thing you have is that your reputation suffers, potentially making it harder for you to earn work in the future. Your work was so bad that your employer told their competition not to hire you.
I wish that worked in my industry.
Do you want me to edit that out?
I don't give a
Okay, cool, because I'm keeping that in.
Oh, he's talking about me!
Yes, Indigo was talking about you.
Sure, random person that I used to work with that watches this.
James,
you think James watches this?
No, I just said a random name.
First of all, he's doing a really good job. He's like...
There are also a couple of other actions that you can take while you're in downtime that we're not going to go over specifically. There's treat disease, which is, a medicine-trained thing that you can do. There's craft, which we're going to do a separate video on.
Okay.
I think it's pretty important and pretty in-depth. There's subsist.
Is it a skill check related thing?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe we'll go
survival,
over it. Maybe we'll go over it in survival.
And then there's create forgery, which we're definitely probably is going to need its own video. It's very long.
Sure.
But maybe not. Maybe we'll talk about it when we do, is it thievery? Jesus, I don't even remember.
Didn't read
that. I think it's deception. Let us know what mode you want us to go over next. We have exploration and encounter that we still have to do. Go down to the comments and be like, this one or this one, and then fight with each other about which one you want us to do, and then be violent and just...
Well, don't punch each other, but definitely argue with each other, because the more comments, the better it helps our channel.
Yeah, but don't curse, because that makes it worse.
Yeah, so be like, shucks, guys, I really think it should be this one.
Argue like...
Golly jeepers, I disagree. All of those things, head down in the comments, do that while you're down there in the comments. Hit the like button on this video. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Don't hit the bell icon because, well, reasons. And then go over to Twitter and talk to us. You can talk to me on Twitter at IndigoQT.
And you can talk to me on Twitter at CrewQT, or you can talk to all of us at all of these social media things down here. There's a plethora of them. One of them is a Discord that you can join if you want to talk to us on Discord. And another one is a Patreon if you have some extra money and you want to give it to us because we're doing such a great job. You can do that there.
And thank you for those people who have joined us on Patreon.
Like,
I would like to thank all of these people.
Oh, you're forcing it.
Because you said you were going to do it last time, and you did.
No!
You actually said in the video, you're like, oh, we got to do that in this video.
I did.
No, someone called us out on it.
I super did.
Maybe you did it on a different video, but they were like, oh, you said you were going to put the names in the video, then didn't put the names. So here's those. Also, we have been trying to be better with the Patreon. We did get the first half of the artwork of Court of Corvids got posted there first. I am carving out some time on my schedule to do the Arc 2 notes that are going to go under Patreon and not YouTube because it's spoilers.
Don't ask me for an unbiased opinion about how good those videos are because I don't watch them.
Correct, which is great. In fact, if someone watched it and they're like, I'm so disappointed I watched this. They're like, there's spoilers in this. I was like, yeah. I mean, it was
maybe say that at the beginning.
I literally changed the title to be like spoilers.
Oh, okay.
Huge spoilers. All right, I think this is enough. Bye.